time for you.
No, I know. I appreciate it.
Hello. And we are back, baby!
I'm so glad we got different microphones for this. Hello, welcome to the Honest War Game. I'm your host, Rob, and we're here live at Nashcon 2019.
And I am Barry McCockner.
Wait, you're not Wootsy Mahoozy?
No, I am Ben F. Dover.
Oh, so sorry.
Yep,
so sorry.
Jacob Barry here from the Rage of Sigmar Podcast Network.
And Rob Symes here from, just everywhere.
Yeah, from everywhere. Inside of you, outside of you, on side of you.
All over the place.
Offside of you.
So we're here at Nashcon 2019, and we're into what I like to call the crunch day.
Yeah.
Yesterday was fun.
Yep, lots of granola going on here.
Yesterday we had a laugh. Today, I'm going to be serious. I'm not sure about Jacob.
So serious.
So serious.
I'm serious like serious.
Yeah, because someone's going to win and become the champion of Nashcon 2019.
The entire Nashville area will bow down to him.
That means they'll be able to publicly declare on social media and other platforms that they are the reigning champ. Now,
but
obviously,
because it's in the South, they are going to have to say, I do declare.
I do declare. And also, they are not going to be able to get much traction with that because most people in the South can't read.
Exactly. Just like one Simon Speckles, who I don't think knows that we're friends yet. I mean, maybe he thinks we're friends, but we shared a beer. We bonded. He met my wife. I look at so many photos of women that he posts online. It's wonderful. We have a great relationship.
We've gone really far already. So I just want to say a big shout out to everyone on Twitch. I want to say thank you to everyone on Patreon who supports the show.
Those are the real heroes.
Exactly. And if you're watching on YouTube or you're watching on Facebook, jump into the
Smash
Twitch
like
and we'll take
subscribe.
some questions off you. Now, we've got a roundup of what happened yesterday. We had some exciting games.
Oh, we had some great games
We saw some Trogos, just stressed me out.
Yeah. Turns out Trogos are really dumb, and the guy who was playing them was role-playing a little bit.
Yeah, he
a
was
little bit of role-playing.
And then we also saw the wonderful Mr. Vince Ventrella against Bill, who I really love. Bill,
he's great.
He's claimed my heart in a classic matchup that lasted.
Shadowhammer, thanks for subscribing. You fecking legend.
And also thank you to Combat Phase Podcast. Kenny Lull there. What a babe. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Big fan of him.
Listen to his show. It's full of lulls.
So yesterday was a really fun day. Today we've got an interesting set of matchups on the top tables.
Yep.
But the top table that we're going to bring in a minute, which we did not expect. Yeah, Daughters of Khaine.
Did not expect it.
The legends of the last year.
The old school boogeyman.
Yeah. 2018 to 2019.
Against
Daughters of
the
Khaine.
new up-and-coming boogeyman, the Fyreslayers.
Yeah, I mean, who would have thought that? Kenny Lull, I know you're in there as well. Big Fyreslayer fan.
He's the biggest Fyreslayer fan.
No one expects Fyreslayers to be doing well, apart from everyone.
Right. Anyone who's played them or read their rules expects them to do well.
They are dumb good.
In a field of Feck and Slanesh, it's nice to see a couple armies that aren't just Feck and Slanesh.
Yeah.
Also, interestingly, only one Skaven player in the entire field, and he's running more Scryer, so it's not the filthy Skaven we've been seeing to this point.
Yeah, it's not the mixed Skaven, like the elements of good that are compressed in together into like a compote of quality.
Exactly right.
Yeah.
We
Do you guys have compots?
It's just jam.
Oh, okay.
Or like a reduction.
Okay, big shout out to everyone listening all around the world, wherever you are.
Yep.
I'd like to know in the chat where you're listening from. And also, if you're sat in a garden in England, hi.
And if you're not sat in a garden in England, hi. So, but to do a quick roundup of some of the other players who are around the top, we've actually got Stormcast Eternals and Feck playing on table 2. Tyler Emerson from formerly the Scrubby & Wells podcast. Now I believe he's gone into early retirement.
He has gone into early retirement.
Yep. Facing off against Sean Clark, one of the preeminent Feck players here in the U.S.
Now, I had the privilege of being able to, get my ass handed to me by Mr. Sean Clark at Adepticon with his Flesh Eater Courts.
Right.
And then after
that... And then you played Warhammer.
Then we played Warhammer. And he also, interestingly, from the Detroit club.
Yep.
And he and his friend Jake have travelled together.
Yep.
He's playing on table 1. His game we're going to be covering. If both of these two players win, we could be in for a club showdown for the championship in the final.
Exactly right. So just another Thursday night for them.
yeah.
Just romping all over each other, stomping, ramming, bloody everywhere.
Interestingly, their gaming night is Wednesday.
Warhammer Wednesday.
Yeah.
I do appreciate a good alliteration.
So that's a
solid strategy.
That's an interesting matchup because at Shootcast versus Flesh Eater Courts, can the shooting that we've talked about for so much deal with the Flesh Eater Courts on the tabletop?
I don't think so because Tyler's not really running a tuned Shootcast list. He sort of just brought.
He's got a bit.
Pot. He has a bit, yeah, but it's not the really tuned anvil guard we're used to seeing.
That's a good point.
We'll see. On the next table below that, we've got Price Vanderberg and Vince facing off in a Slanesh off. Difference being Price is running a Depraved Drove with one keeper, and Vince is running all the keepers.
It's beasts versus demons.
No, well, yes.
Yes.
Sure.
Yes.
We'll go with that.
It kind of is.
It is. It kind of is. Yeah.
Kinda is.
And then we've also got Stormcast Eternal playing against Slaanesh on the next table down. So there's a lot of Slaanesh on the top tables.
But
that's to be expected.
But you also find exactly what's happening with Vince here in the Slaanesh mirror match. You tend to find that as you goes into game 4 and 5. A lot of the very good factions actually end up with lower win rates as we look at the stats going into
because
the
they hit
this
each
year.
other around 4.
Because they often hit each other around 4s, 5s.
Yep.
So that's why it was incredible to see a couple of weeks ago at Blackout. We saw 5 of the top 10 armies podium as Slaanesh.
Right.
So we really should be
Slaanesh knocked each other out of contention for the win.
Yeah. Well, they still won.
Right, okay, good.
Yeah,
of course they did.
Of course they did. So it's going to be really interesting to see. Obviously, the mirror match, there's only one Slaanesh victory, but whether or not it goes into a double Slaanesh mirror match into game 5.
Right. Now, on the last of the top tables, well, no, they're kind of out of contention. So I think that Stormcast versus Slaanesh is probably the cutoff for who could contend at this point for the podium.
Okay.
The gap from there on is pretty stark.
Okay, and the reason that's so important is Nashcon's got this really cool set of rules where obviously you've got major victories and minor victories as you might be used to in your games at home or in other tournaments, but they've also got a selection of hootenannies.
Schisms.
Hoodwinks.
Gambits, gimmicks, jigs, juggles, knacks, ploy, ruse. I'm just reading off Merriam-Webster at this point. My vocabulary's not that good.
What is Merriam-Webster? We use... Do you know you guys don't use thesaurus.com?
I just Googled it, and whatever came up was what I might have found thesaurus.com and found that the synonyms it offered me were lacking.
Not good enough.
No, we're going to do a review later on 10 reasons why Merriam-Webster is better than synonym.com.
Number 6.
Might confound you.
And surprise.
Because I looked up another word for surprise.
Good.
All right, but on table 1, we're looking at Daughters of Khaine versus Fyreslayers, 2 traditionally armies that have both high damage output and very strong DPR or after damage saves.
Yeah, so they are...
And hordes, also, which are bad for Warhammer.
Yeah. Yes. They also, and this is really, really interesting, they play in a very similar style. They use their units at the front that are buffed up by their characters at the back. Daughters of Khaine slightly different, obviously, with the Marathi inclusion. But it's really interesting how that plays into our scenario, which is 3 places of arcane power.
Agreed. Yeah, so it's going to come down to who gets first turn and who can establish control early, and if the other player can shift them off of those objectives.
Yeah, and
now,
the Fyreslayer block also, we've seen that Fyreslayers armies do particularly well in team formats across the world over the past, since the book release.
Basically.
And the reason that we've seen that is because if they're paired into the right scenarios, they can do really well. Why Daughters of Khaine are really good is their rules, their points, and everything about them.
Right. Now, to be fair, both these armies, there is a very low floor. If you're playing them poorly, you're going to have a lot of trouble because the ranges are very important. There's a bit of a stigma against both Slaanesh and Feck because in some ways those armies play themselves. I'm not going to say you don't have to be good to play them well, but to play them at a pretty decent level where you're going to beat anyone in the mid-tables, you don't have to play super well.
Agreed.
Right, because there's just so much inbuilt rules. But those aren't dependent on ranges. They aren't built on synergies that you have to stack up with talent and with forethought. But I would say both armies we're about to watch today have a very high player skill cap to play at a high level.
Yeah. Interestingly, you saw Daughters of Khaine with a crazy win percentage actually last year. At one point, they were rocking nearly 80%. They were at 78%.
That's unreal.
That is unreal.
That's unreal. Number 7 of those 80 might surprise you.
But they always would never. They picked up popularity over the course of the year, but
because
last year
people had time to paint it over time.
Yeah, they were always around a 2 to 3%. Ended up at about a 5% kind of percentage. Where Fyreslayers were unheard of, really, before the new book.
Outside of Kenny Lowell, he was carrying the stats.
He was carrying the stats.
He was the Chris Tomlin of Fyreslayers.
He was. But now he's just on the board. There's quite a few places, and it's because there's just this indestructible block, which we'll get to.
Yeah. For the Fyreslayers?
For the Fyreslayers.
They're fucking hugely tanky. There's a lot of ways to stack up armor buffs to them, both on the DPR and the normal armor.
Which seems super odd, right? Because they're naked dwarves, right?
No, they're wearing nappies.
They are wearing nappies and a helmet.
And a helmet.
And a helmet.
Heaven forbid they stub their toe, because then they're fucked.
But then they're against... and I mean scantily clad, or normally witch elves. However, Jake's army is beautifully converted.
It's all very Spartan.
Yeah, Spartan men, but normally scantily clad ladies. But what's interesting is it seems that Age of Sigmar, the more armor you wear, the less save you have. However, if you're naked, you are going to just...
Invincible. In fucking invincible.
Yeah. How does that work? Is there a real world analogy for that? I don't know.
I don't know. I got nothing for you.
I got nothing for you.
Calluses, maybe? They just build up calluses on the
I think
boobs.
no one on Baywatch ever died. So I think maybe it's because
I mean, on set, several people, but nobody on the show.
Did they? Wow. Did not.
I can neither confirm nor confirm that.
You don't know. So we're gonna wait.
You're in America now. We call those alternative facts.
Oh, nice. Absolutely.
So this game is being played in the realm of Akshi, which could be very impactful for other games because the Realmscape feature that's been chosen is any missile weapons that shoot over 12 inches have increased rend.
So if you don't know what that means, for some reason, in Age of Sigmar you can play inside realms. Yeah, right. And there's realms of there are 8 realms, but we only ever play in 7.
Right.
We're not allowed to go and play in Sigmar's realm.
And we can't play in the realm of chaos either.
I mean, we did that last night.
Oh, hell yeah, we did.
Oh, yeah. All right.
Patreon, we're going to be buying a new microphone.
And a new screen.
I'm just kidding. Sorry, Rob.
No, don't worry about it. You did really well.
It was a good high five.
I'm very excited to be here.
Tell us what kind of high five you thought it was.
Yeah, please let us know. I'm a real world analogy. So everyone in the Twitch chat, let us know what your thoughts are and how excited you are. We are now going to go and look at the overlay for the map. That's what we'd like to do. We didn't actually finish talking about the realms. I'm sorry.
No, that's okay. Largely irrelevant in this matchup because none of them have missile weapons that are going to go more than 12 inches in these lists. The realm spell is Fireball, but the only casters in the list for the Daughters of Khaine player is going to be Marathi, who has much better spells to cast than Fireball, just a little damage plinker. And I believe there's the Bloodrack Medusa there's no Bloodrack Medusa in this list. So it's just Marathi who's going to be casting, and I imagine she'll be transforming almost right away after casting Mind Razor. So it's going to be very few spells cast this game because Fyreslayers player doesn't have any allies that brought in any casting. And then the command ability lets them light one of the terrain pieces on fire, and it would block line of sight, which again won't really matter much.
No, these two armies are just going to run head straight into each other. This is the Juggernaut versus the speeding train.
Absolutely.
Although, like,
question is,
one of them's full of women.
Who is the Juggernaut, bitch?
Yeah, one of them is full of women. And then Lone Trey play.
And the other one is the Daughters player.
So yeah, and what that means is you're going to see a massively engaged combat phase. I would say turn 1 if we end up not seeing it. So as you can see on the overlay here, you've got these 3 objectives. Now the way it works is a character needs to move. A character needs to move within 3 inches of the objective, and then what needs to happen is they need to hold it, and they score the points for how long they've held it. If they move off for any reason, then the timer resets. Another one of their heroes can reclaim it, but the timer resets. So once a hero is down on an objective, you're going to want to keep that up as much. You're going to want to keep them there as long as possible. That works excellently for both of these two armies because really what they do is they just put their characters behind their offensive lines and then just sit them there.
Yeah, those lines have been spewing racial slurs all day. I found it very offensive on their lines.
Well, what is really interesting is the Fyreslayers are kind of they don't have their main block or their main couple of blocks will fight in one place, and all of their auras and buffs that they use to make their army better are very localized. So you might be able to hold 2 objectives, maybe, but they'll be on the ragged edge and quite thin. And as attrition goes on, they might start to fall apart. The way to win this scenario is not to try and hold all 3, but just to hold 2.
And hold them for long enough that mathematically your opponent can't make a comeback?
Yeah. So the turns into turn 3 priority, priority roll into turn 3 is always really big based on how long objectives already been held. Yeah. So you're going to see Fyreslayers jump onto the objectives very early, and then you're going to see the Daughters of Khaine try to shift them. I imagine you'll see maybe the Fyreslayers hit on 1 and then move into the center.
Right.
I don't imagine they'll hit in the center so they don't get swamped.
So the problem with that tactic is if Jake is able to put Marathi on the center objective, that means almost guaranteed holding it for 3+ turns. Yeah. And that means that basically the Fyreslayers won't be able to win. Mathematically, you can't kill Marathi in faster than 2 full turns.
Yeah.
So without winning some priorities, it may be hard for the Fyreslayers to win if that is the tactic they choose.
So let us know. Let us know in Twitch chat who you think is going to win. Facebook.
Learn, trade, play things. Fyreslayers have got this.
And
they are fewer drops, so that is going to be one advantage they have.
Yeah, they're going to go first, or they're going to choose who's to go first. But
I can't imagine they wouldn't go first.
No, they're going to 100% go first.
Letting the witches get their buffs up.
And I can imagine a lot.
I don't think I can imagine a world in which a man and a man can't get married.
Nor would I want to live in that world.
What you can't see on the Twitch chat is that I'm caressing the inside of Rob's thigh.
Very, very tenderly.
Yeah.
And I'm a taken man now, sir. Yeah, you be careful.
All right. Well, I've been a taken man as long as you've known me. What's the problem here? So we've just found out which of the schemes both these players are going to be going after. Now, we've been referring to them as hootenannies because we're down here in the South.
In the South.
But I'd like to...
Apparently, we've had actually some input from a third party.
Oh?
Apparently, thesaurus.com has better synonyms.
Your input from the third party needs to check her sources. Love you, Hannah. Now, the chicaneries that these two lists have chosen is actually, amusingly, the same scheme, which every player is given a random deck of 6 schemes out of a deck of 25.
Yes.
So the chance of them getting the same ones isn't super unlikely, but choosing the same one in the same game is a little bit more unlikely, and it's called Too Valuable to Die. The way this one works is that both players elect a non-hero unit in their army, and that unit has to avoid close combat for the entire game. At the end of the game, if the chosen unit has not engaged in close combat, as in never attacked or been attacked in the combat phase, and at least one model from that unit is still alive, you can reveal the scheme as a success.
Yes.
So we're going to see it with the Harpies from the Daughters of Khaine player. He's going to bring them down very late, probably off in a corner and do nothing with them. And the Fyreslayers player has picked one of his smaller units of Volkite Berserkers. Now, it's going to be a little confusing for us because we're not actually sure which one it is, and it's sort of hard to tell the difference between his units. So it's going to be a bit of a challenge to figure out which one that is.
Which is actually my main
which
is my main criticism of Fyreslayers, right?
They all look the same.
They all look the same.
I don't even know which ones the heroes are.
Yeah, it's incredibly tough to tell.
But looking at this deployment so far, we've already got it looks like the Fyreslayers player is giving up the middle and has committed pretty hard on both of the sides.
Yes. So let's talk about how the Fyreslayers are going to move in their first turn.
Yeah.
As you can see, I'm almost certain this big block of 30. If we just get the camera up a tiny bit, that would be great. That big block of 30 there is going to go. And because they're in Vostrag, they get +1 to their move, and in the very first turn, they get an automatic 6 to their run.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's impactful.
It is very impactful.
Because they only move 4, but that gives them an automatic 10.
Exactly. Yeah, it's crazy. And then because of the command trait, Fire Endurance, they're going to get run and charge from the Rune Father. So I actually think I actually would argue, Mr. Jacob Berry, that he's going to give the first turn away. Now looking at deployment.
Why would you say that?
So because
enlighten me.
So it's very much like the conversation we had yesterday about what you want to do when you're playing at this level.
Yeah.
Is you can have units in the game that are bait.
Yep.
Right, so you could put, let's say, Marathi here, and that's bait. Yeah.
I know bait.
Yeah.
That's bait.
Yeah, that's bait. That's bait. But the key bit about this game and about Age of Sigmar is that there's always some bait on the board, and that's the objectives. So in order to win, you're going to have to move there, right? And the Daughters of Khaine are, if he gives the first turn, going to move forward. You could either put your Fyreslayer block forward, hold the objective,
right?
Yeah. And then decide that, you're like, cool, you can hit me. Or you can let them move on to the objective,
right.
Hit them. Yeah, obviously they'll hit you back, then move into the priority roll. And it gives you the first swing turn.
Now, in this scenario, they're deploying 24 inches away from each other.
Yes.
Which is going to make it so the Fyreslayers would never be able to be... First of all, their 10 inches only gets them to up to 2 inches away from that objective. And then... that would be the counterpunch time for the Witch Elves.
Yes, but agreed. I personally think that, and as we've seen in this bottom hand corner, it looks like both players are going to consolidate the flanks, and then it's going to be a scrap in the middle. I would argue though that giving away that first turn is going to be fine because the Fyreslayers are super defensive, but they also have got crazy output because realistically, because of the Lords of the Lodge battalion. that block of 30 is going to pile in and attack twice.
If it's within 12 of a hero.
Of the hero, yeah, which is going to be the Rune
It's
Father.
wholly within, so it's a tough aura bubble to keep, which is like we were talking about before. The skill cap is very high for this army, but also there's plenty of room to make mistakes, and it can cost you the whole game.
Yeah.
Now, here's my question too, though. The way that the Fyreslayers player has deployed, he's clearly going to try to shoot the two side objectives and possibly leave the center objective. Now, Marathi is going to go sit there on that center objective, and I don't think that it makes any sense for the Fyreslayers player to move into that space until he's really consolidated power on this whole half of the board.
Yeah.
Right? But at the same time, all of these Daughters of Khaine are going to control both the left objective and possibly exert a lot of control to the center. So if the Fyreslayers player doesn't go first, looks like we're about to start.
Yeah, we've got the handshake for the first turn, and we're going to see who does go first.
Fyreslayers are going first.
Very interesting, very interesting. It's because the Witcher. It's because there is no Daughters of Khaine here to strike in and hit, right?
And I'm hearing that Marathi has been deployed near the edge of the small tower.
Okay.
So I wonder if that's behind this tower up here. I think it. Oh, yeah. So Marathi, perfect. So she's hiding behind that beautiful sort of semicircular tower there. So she looks like she could, depending on how she transforms, either shoot to the center objective or go and threaten the right-hand objective. If we can go back to the over-the-table, the over-top overlay.
Yeah, they go back in a minute. They're just doing some tech.
Definitely.
Doing
Teching it up. Tic-tac techie. Tomb King Tristan, thanks for showing up, bud.
Who's this here?
That's Marathi.
Oh,
Little
okay.
Marathi.
Little Marathi. So she's a tiny Spartan. So we will get some close-ups of Jake's army. So Jake's playing Daughters of Khaine, and he has got a gorgeous army. Daughters of Khaine army is incredibly tough to put together anyway. Yeah. Jake has decided to make all of them, convert every single one as a Spartan.
Exactly. Very 300.
Very, very 300.
I wonder, though, what is their profession? No, that sounds more like a dog. Who let the dogs out? Did you know that song is about when the ugly girls show up to the club? What? So I'm interested in seeing how Nick goes here, because I don't think he's going to be able to get too close to the objectives to wall them off. All he's going to be able to do is get a hero within scoring range. But if they're within scoring range, they're vulnerable. They're not going to be far enough out from whatever threats Jake can put out. So it could be really dicey for him.
It is. Have we currently talked through the Fyreslayer list?
We've talked through the Fyreslayers list.
Every bit of it.
Well, we talked about the
30 Hearthguard.
The 30 Hearthguard. That's the one that you need to know about. And I don't know the heroes because they're all the same.
They are all the same. That's absolutely true.
But he does have some prayers. He does have he's put up the Judgment, which lets him drop a wall over on the side.
Yeah,
so
the runic firewall.
So Marathi is back here. Marathi is hidden behind the small tower. So she's going to most likely be heading to the right or making a long run to the center objective. Now, that wall is going to make it a little bit harder for her, but she does fly, so I don't think it's going to be that concerning. But it looks like we're looking through prayers now, so it's continuing the hero phase for the Fyreslayers. Now, what I expect to happen is the Fyreslayers player is going to run forward and try to claim these two objectives early. And the problem is, because their move is so short, they're going to basically not be very protected. They have to be within 3 of the objective to claim it, which means they're going to be pushing up all the way up to the edge of their movement capacity. And that's going to be really problematic because those witches can just come in and blend up the characters. They won't be able to really create a full screen around the characters.
They're just not going to, but I don't know. Yes, you're right. They're not because they're super fast, right? Yeah, the witches. Yeah, that's what you're talking about.
And there won't be enough movement for the Fyreslayers to put up a screen in front of where that character is going to try to hold the objective.
Yes. It's
a conundrum for Fyreslayers.
You might see that the Fyreslayers just decide to sit off.
Then why would they pick first turn?
Because they're going to progress here at the top.
Yeah.
But then that doesn't mean they have to run across the whole space of the board, because realistically,
hold on, you're telling me there's a tactic in Warhammer that involves not running all the way forward?
Because you might see a pincer, right? A bit of
classic pincer maneuver.
Classic flank and spank. So you might see the move here. Then the the Witch Elves have to move here. Then what you're going to do, going into the priority roll, you can then just move forward, and then
Right.
you're hitting into the flank, because then those units are having to stay. They can't progress as much, because what they're doing is now defending the objective. So it allows you to go on the frontal. Whereas over on, I know Marathi's over here. Marathi's just going to hold that block up though, and that's the end of the game, right? Maybe. Sorry, I just talked to myself.
Well, if the Fyreslayers player doesn't claim that objective, yes.
Yes. Yes.
If the daughters can make a beeline for that one, the cauldron is pretty fast, and if it
And
runs, it should be able to
tanky.
make it there. Sure. It almost doesn't matter how tanky it is if nothing's fighting it, though, because Marathi's going to be the distraction Carnifex over here.
Yes, absolutely, absolutely. Can we get at some point, Colin, our man, he's our cameraman for the day. Can we get?
He's not just my man for the day.
Can we get a lovely look at those Spartans that have been converted, please? Because that would be really rad. Because they look really cool, and that we should use the new cameras to do that zoom in.
Yeah, check it out.
Check them out. And have a little look see, because they're the witch elves.
So
for
you can
today.
see it over here on the small camera,
Yeah,
or the small screen rather.
it's going to get zoomed over to us for a minute.
Such zoom.
So the Fyreslayers, there we go. So there is the Spartans. What is their profession? Which is cool. So this cauldron, as you can see, has got another large Spartan on top of it.
Big old marble figure.
Yeah, as the
Unfortunately,
avatar.
it's facing the wrong direction, so we can't really see it. But that's what
Yeah, the whole Spartan army seems to be facing the wrong direction.
Yeah,
It
they
clearly
don't respect the Fyreslayers at all.
clearly subterfuge, right? Clearly subterfuge.
No, I think his subterfuge was to try to keep that one unit from fighting for the entire round.
So yeah, that's a cool looking army, and I'm glad you guys in the chat appreciate
also,
it.
fun shout out, we've got some pretty cool terrain on the table today. It's all printed by Anthony Polcasher, our buddy from North Carolina. If you ever want to hit him up on Twitter, he does print a lot of terrain, and we painted this one up in a jade temple style. These are all this is actually, it's the dwarven table, which is perfect for the Fyreslayers playing
Absolutely
on it.
perfect. It's
They
Dwarden-esque.
must feel really good about that, the home court advantage they've got.
There you go. Look at that. So that's all 3D printed, and I managed to have a great conversation with him yesterday about that. And really, like, the cost once you have a 3D printer is super low. So if you guys are out there and wondering like what you're able to produce, scenery like that, for me, if you wanted to fill a board of scenery, it's basically the same cost as a 3D printer anyway.
Right.
And then
at this quality, absolutely.
yeah, at this quality, and it has been stunning. And every table has been some 3D printed terrain. So I'm not saying it's the future, but it definitely feels like it. And the only reason I'm talking about it is I'm really sold on it right now.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And it just
Especially
looks
with
cool.
the terrain you see at some of these bigger events where it's just clear no effort's been put into it.
Clearly done.
Azurite ruins sprawled across the table, no bases for them, no area terrain, just sort of up in the mix. Now we're seeing the Fyreslayers player do what we thought he was going to do, which is push forward. Looks like he's got a hero on that terrain piece. Interestingly, it might be difficult for Marathi to get to that hero.
Yes.
However, with Fly, she may be able to get back here once she goes big and just kill that character off.
Yeah, interesting. She'll be able to kill one, maybe not both.
But
but she'll then claim
hero,
it.
Exactly. If a hero kills the hero that's currently holding it, she then claims it.
See now, you've got to be really serious
Do you
with this
think this is
Fyreslayer
bait,
block.
though? Because if that cauldron comes forward, claims this one, and then we have a wall of witches and sisters here, I could see this unit of Hearthguard Berserkers coming in and just destroying the main body of that witch's army.
Potentially, but then you just leave Marathi there, right?
Right.
Like, and Marathi
And
is
it looks like he's pushing up on the other side too.
Oh, interesting.
Hashtag tactics, run it forward.
I would actually argue that Marathi poses such a unique and key problem when you're facing against Daughters of Khaine
Especially
army.
in this scenario.
Especially in this scenario. But yeah, you're true. But also always. This is a unique block in the game currently. Now, Witch Elves previously did what that block of Hearthguard Berserkers are currently doing. In that they were like this indestructible block that would also do ferocious damage. But really, that Hearthguard Berserker unit is the tankiest, outputtiest, or maybe not the outputtiest, but I'd have to do the math on that, but it's certainly the tankiest unit in the game.
Tankier than 30 Witch Elves with a 5-up, 5-up?
Yeah. Because they've only got 5-up save, 5-up after damage save. Those guys have a
2-up, 4-up?
A 2-up, 4-up rerollable.
And there's 60 wounds instead
and
of
it's 60 wounds in that block instead of 30. It's so crazy, and that's why it's 600 points. It's over a quarter of the army,
right?
But it gets an extra
quick
attack.
maths.
It gets an extra attack from the 4-star warrior Kimbad. It gets another extra attack, and it also gets a pile and attack twice. It is really good, and that block of 30 is armed with broad axes, so it won't be doing the mortal wounds, but it will have the rend.
Yeah. And that's the big argument you see a lot lately: broad axes versus the pikes.
Yes.
And it turns out mathematically it's about the same. It's basically preference.
Yeah, I think I prefer the pikes though. In case for some reason
my favorite is Terry Pike.
The reason I say that is because I like to. If I happen to come up against armor, I want to be able to punch through it.
Sure.
And the rend on the axes, while there's a lot of attacks with a lot of rend, I don't know. I just prefer the more wounds. It seems more statically good, good to me.
Mortal wounds are always good.
Yeah, always.
Now this table has actually a very diverse set of terrain on it. In terms of all the different types of terrain we're looking at. And it just came out that we've got 2 points for the Fyreslayers player, and that is the end of the first turn.
Ooh.
So this piece here is damned, which we may see to great effect for those witches.
Which is interesting, because if that unit goes there, and I feel like it's damned if it does, damned if it doesn't.
Damned if you do, damned if you don't. Which unit we're talking about?
Which elves?
Which ones?
Which elves?
Which ones?
Yeah.
Other interesting bits here is that we've also got entangling terrain for this other central piece, which is going to be -2 to run and charge rolls if you're within, I believe, an inch of it. Marathi is going to be transforming, so here comes Big Marathi. Oh, she was on the far side of that tower. So I do expect to see her come straight up here onto those papers that the players have placed nicely for us to create a good contrast, and then head right in here. Even though she'll be taking attacks from those Hearthguard, she doesn't really care.
No, she does not. No.
She can only take 3 wounds a turn.
She is, so she's going to be there for 4 turns.
Marathi has cast Mind Razor, or is attempting to cast Mind Razor. Not sure if it was successful. I assume she's casting it on herself to make sure she goes in and just wallops those characters and maybe puts some damage on that big block. She did cast it on herself, and she's going to be higher bravery than those than the Hearthguard. So
yes.
She will be getting not just +1 damage, but also +1 rend.
Yeah, still going through them is going to be tough, but whittling them down, because it's a smart play, right? Not only put Marathi there to tank, but get Marathi there to be in an attrition war with that unit for as long as possible.
Right,
is a smart play.
Not to mention, if she goes in there and she can kill those 2 heroes, all of their buffs go away. This is an army very reliant on its buffs and its synergies, and even though that Hearthguard unit will absolutely destroy anything it touches, she's immune to that, and if she can get those buff pieces to die, she's going to have no problem going through that unit.
Yeah, I really think...
I would take that fight as Marathi every day of the week.
I think this was the most obvious thing to happen ever, right? So I think Nick should have let it happen. I think maybe Nick was concerned that he was just going to get held up here.
Right.
But if he surrounds Marathi, which, again, he's got an incredibly large footprint to do so, he could have just surrounded her because he doesn't have to get everything in.
Right.
Because... he doesn't, he can do, if Marathi didn't get the charge off when they were there, right, then he charges, bubbles out, puts a character there, holds on, gets it by turn 3, right, but then that's the problem with the block.
Which
and
means he needs to be able to get points here.
I don't know, it's the problem with that block is it's pinnable.
Right, and to be frank, to be Jacob, I think that when I look at this matchup, on paper, it looks pretty even, but as soon as we saw the deployments, I was very strongly in favor of the witches. I feel like the Dodger can have a much stronger case to be made here.
Yeah, I'd agree with you. I feel like it's Jake's game to win now, to see if he pulls the trigger on it. Like you said, his army is fast.
Right.
And also Nick's done everything he can to make his army as fast as possible. He's taken the lodge.
But they're still just little stubby Duarden. They're not wearing shoes. How fast can they run?
How fast? That's a great question.
Not very fast.
No, not at all.
4 inches, which I call twice. In, out, in, out. So it looks like the Witch Brew has been put on both of the large units, one on the Sisters of Slaughter and one on the Witch Elves. And the Prayer Catechism has been put on one of the units of
Catechism of Murder,
which is where every 6 to hit generates 2 hits instead of a single hit.
Yeah. I think you're right. I think what's really interesting about this battle is
what's really interesting, Rob.
this battle. Can we just zoom down a little bit? The guys on the table just super up for just they're well up for.
I lost my train of thought just listening to you.
Apologies, everyone at home. Apologies. A lot happening in my head right now.
Right, well,
also apologies for all of this paper on the board. These guys not overly interested in you guys having an aesthetic match. But you know, it's the guys want to play.
They've only got 4 feet of table to either side of them.
Yeah, they have.
And he's
how do they
prayer.
play on the other tables?
I have no idea. Poorly, I assume. That's why they're not on table 1. Boom, roasted. Now
they are on table 1.
These players. I thought you meant the rest of the unwashed masses that are not on table 1. Now, I don't think this unit of 10 and that unit of 10 are going to present much of a challenge.
See, now that's where you'll be surprised. These units of 10, I put 12 Kadai into these before, and let me tell you, 12 Kadai will fight almost anything in Age of Sigmar, happily so as well.
Right.
And they lost that attrition war. But
Kadai aren't terribly defensive.
They've got 5 up ethereal
Witches
save.
are both defensive and offensive.
Yeah, you're right. Witches and Kadai are very different.
It turns out, we just found out, the Daughters of Khaine player Jake forgot to deploy one of his heroes on the table. So he has 1 fewer Witch Brew. I guess he's not going to be playing with that model for the whole game.
Wow, okay. Jake forgot Daughters of Khaine hero?
He forgot to put his hag... Right, so he didn't put down one of his hags, so he's only going to get 1 Witch Brew a turn instead of 2.
Wow.
He gave it to his opponent to decide, and being that it's competitive, his opponent said, don't put the model down.
That's very fair. So witches are going to progress, and they're obviously going to make this charge here.
What I'm curious about is, are those the witches, or are those the Sisters of Slaughter?
Yeah, we're going to find out from John. He's going to let us know which are which.
Which?
Well, let's not do that joke while we're trying to learn things. Let's wait till he gives us the info.
That big block running up is the Sisters of Slaughter, which means they'll be able to pile in 6 inches.
Okay.
So it effectively removes them from the...
Thank you, Colin.
From the activation war. So there's no chance that this unit here is going to be able to fight first.
Yes.
So that means that he can comfortably fight with Marathi first, and then the Fyreslayers player will be forced to fight Marathi back because this unit won't be engaged yet. Then he can pile in his 6 inches and fight.
So this
unit also has Witch Brew, which is meaning that they're going to be immune to battle shock, and they're going to have rerolling to wound.
Yes, I think you'll also see, as you can see, he's put the main body of the force here. I reckon he's going to try and get as many bodies around here as he can, and then just eventually end up looping round. But we'll see.
And this is a reverse view, so that's actually closer to the center.
Yes.
This is taking them closer to that center objective.
Yeah, and now you're seeing the Witch Elves move forward.
Witch Elves?
Yeah, Witch Elves. And the reason I think you're going to see that is you're going to have this. You see that unit create a line, so that if this unit wanted to come down and try to attack, they wouldn't be able to. And also similarly, that unit there.
I concur completely.
Just some smart play.
But Nick is going to have to keep. I assume this is the unit that is supposed to not fight ever, because that is his skullduggery that he has chosen, his hootenanny, if you will. If you won't, it's just his scheme.
It's just his hue.
So we've got some chatter in the chat. Someone is saying it's going to suck for that guy when he loses to Jake after denying him the model.
Yes, yeah. I think he should have just let him put it on the board personally. But
I probably would have, considering it wouldn't have affected the game at all.
At all.
This could end up being one of those things. I wouldn't say it's on the same level at all as what happened at LVO. Right? We're not trying to create that.
Not anywhere near as close.
No, not even remotely. But I also don't think it's even going to be impactful. It may matter a bit. It's going to force Jake to have a couple more decision points. But at the end of the day, that one hag wasn't going to turn the game.
No.
There's so much else going on, and it looks like.
But I would have put it on. I would let him put him on the board. FYI.
I'm with you, right? Yeah. If it hasn't affected the game yet,
it hadn't.
Which?
Hag. No.
Hadn't.
Queen.
Hag.
Queen. Hag Queen. There we go. So the cauldron on the board there. Definitely.
And claiming the objective.
Claiming the objective. And that's going to try and stay there as long as possible. Obviously, there's this unit that can come over and fight. But the other thing that Nick has done in taking the first turn is he set himself up for having the priority.
Exactly.
Which is
he's okay to win or to lose. And honestly, he could give it away. But
Nick?
if Jake wins it, he could give it away. The only problem with giving it away is the scoring. If Jake doesn't take enough of the objectives off of Nick this turn.
I think this is very different to the games that we've seen yesterday. I think that both players are going to want to take the priority role
Because of scoring.
Yeah, no, because of murder. Like, I think the ability to activate more and whittle down. Now, they're going to be in ongoing combats all the time.
Right.
But I think the ability to just, like, absolutely do the attrition, because the Fyreslayers, like you said, are super defensive. But here, the priority role is very important for this element. This unit could come over and kill, potentially, the Cauldron.
And lose the scheme, which is 9 points.
Yeah, which is big. So I think
if Nick feels like he's losing, his best bet might be to make sure he can score those 9 points regardless of however the game breaks.
Yeah, I think the Fyreslayers should have gone second, because as you see now, what we're ending up in is both of these. I suppose what he aimed to do was claim the objective before Morathi changed and held it for 2 turns solidly.
Right.
But I don't know. I would have also being low drop. A lot of people talk about low drop being a massive advantage in going first, and oftentimes that can be true in some elements. But really, the powerhouse of what it was when it was Sylvaneth and their capacity to decide to sit on all the objectives. Here, because all the objectives are in this center line, all you want to do is just wait for your opponent to move on to them, which they're going to do because they want to because they're going to want to score the game, then counterattack.
Right.
And what we've seen here, interestingly, is because
it's almost that Nick has overcommitted, even though he's so because he's so slow. He had to overcommit.
Nick set up for Jake the natural advantage he had at deployment.
Right.
Which is odd.
Right. That's a good take. We also are seeing the first unit of Harpies coming down. These are the ones that are not involved in the flim flam that Jake is trying to pull over on Nick.
Yeah.
And so this unit is creating a screen to slow down those Fyreslayers, which if Morathi engages here, and that's going to force the Hearthguard
to pile into the closest model. To
pile in, but also to retreat if they ever want to fight here.
Yeah. Yeah. I think
Morathi rolled a 6 on her 3-inch charge, so she is in.
Oh, okay. Interesting. So she's
her base should be able to fit in with both the hero.
Do you think she's definitely going to engage?
And it's definitely going to fit that gap. What were you saying?
Is she definitely going to engage? I think so.
I think so.
Yeah, I think so. Tech Rex says, I mean, DOK versus Fire says you've got to get some advantages when they are presented.
Well, he's referring to he and Relian were going back and forth about the argument about advantage going one way or the other. Letting someone. So the argument was being made that Jake getting a free deployment of his hag is also an advantage if Jake had been allowed to put his hag down.
It is.
The argument does cut both ways. Those two are sort of going back and forth.
But it's also, you guys also have to remember it's in a very interesting format where there are 2 lists that they choose at the start of the game. And me personally, I won't lie to you, while it's really exciting for the players here,
I'm confused why Jake has chosen to charge his Sisters of Slaughter when they get to pile in 6 inches. They count as engaged at 6 inches.
He just wants to. Maybe.
I guess he just really loves the YOLO bomb.
Yeah, he's just going to go in. I assume it could be for the movement because he might want to push up, but maybe it's not.
That's true, because then the other half of the unit. Oh, is that only the unit of 10 witches?
Right. Okay.
Yeah, that's 10 witches, so that's not the Sisters of Slaughter. So we can still have the Sisters of Slaughter pile in here.
Okay.
If they want to.
Yeah, all of Jake's army is Spartan men, so it's actually quite difficult. And he did say to us, it's going to be a nightmare for us to.
But it looks like he's measured. Looks like he's the 6 inches away, so he'll be able to pile in there, should he decide to.
Yeah.
What's interesting there, though, is the question is, now that he's engaged that unit, the Hearthguard or the Auric Hearthguard, I believe, can pile in because being engaged, they have to move towards the closest model. So
yes.
I'm not sure why Jake chose to charge in that unit of 10 witches.
Because they're still out of 3, but then the 6-inch pile-in is going to get them more.
Sure, that makes sense.
Yeah. So they're still going to get
the
that
Volkite Berserkers, I'm sorry, not the Auric. The Volkite Berserkers there are going to be able to fight back.
So Morathi is attacked? Not yet? No, they haven't.
I believe he's still...
Well, I imagine he'll go first with the witches, because it doesn't matter what happens. Morathi's going to take 3 wounds this turn anyway, but isn't going to die.
No.
It doesn't particularly degrade a profile overly by losing just 3 wounds.
Correct.
So if you guys don't know what we're talking about, and you might not, Morathi can only take 3 wounds per round. So
right.
And she's currently on 12, so it's going to take 4 rounds or 2 full battle rounds to have her killed.
Correct.
Which is pretty
and
big.
if she kills enough, or if she forces this unit to retreat, she may never die, because those 2 heroes definitely won't do it.
Nuh-uh.
She's going to devour those 2 heroes.
So it's going to be really interesting, realistically. Oh, and the lists are in the chat now. Big shout out to Scrivo. Thank you so much. So you guys can check out the lists that are being played right now. They're pretty much cookie-cutter builds of those 2 armies, I would say.
A bit. So there's a couple changes that Jake has made, as in using life takers instead of Canary Heart Renders. The popular choice is Heart Renders, but he's got the combat-oriented ones. It's
an interesting choice, absolutely. And then also, sometimes you won't see Vorstarg, and you do see Heimdall as a lodge being used by the Fyreslayers as well.
Vorstarg is also plenty powerful.
Very good. And I actually think I think I prefer it because the ability to run and charge from the general, I think that's pretty big.
Definitely. A lot more conversation in the chat. Give us your thoughts on if you think he should or should not have been able to deploy his model. There's a lot of chat. Look, I don't...
No conversation about it. It's fucking shit.
No, you and I don't need to have the conversation, but everyone seems engaged in that. So if you want to have an argument on the internet, I guess today's your day. You can also take to Twitter. You can find Relian on Twitter. You can find all these people on Twitter. You can have the conversation away from where we're trying to have a conversation, which would be lovely of you. But if you really want to get in there, jump on in, bud.
Yeah.
Hashtag hype and controversy.
We'll start a mega thread. You guys game, but I don't think it's an issue at all.
Omega thread, the final thread of all threads.
Yeah, the final thread.
The Omega thread.
The final thread. I wonder who's going to have.
Don't you think?
I wonder who's going to have the final thread at the end of the game. Realistically,
I imagine we're going to see Daughters of Khaine having the final thread.
Yeah, absolutely. So
14 saves to be made for the Fyreslayers.
So this is the combat down here.
I'm. Yes.
Yeah.
So the Daughters of Khaine have done.
So what he's done with that initial
wounds.
10 is before they get whomped, because they're pretty lightly armored realistically. He's just making the decision. He's like, cool, I'm going to go and get my little punch out of them, and then get the pile in, and then attack back, which I think is a smart play.
Agreed. And 9 of those have went through, so that's going to kill 4 of those Hearthguard.
It's not bad. Not bad.
Right. So and without there should be a hero in there that's claiming the objective, which means he should be able to use one of his 4 command points to stop them from fleeing to battle shock.
I would point out which one is the hero, but realistically, they all look the fucking same because they're Fyreslayers.
This just in from Scrivo, they do all look the same. Our table boss has confirmed they do look the same.
Having a real struggle. He's like,
table boss, can you put your finger on and hold it there for the entire game where the hero is?
Yeah, that would be cool. Yeah, there's an earthquake here now. We're on a tectonic
There's been some
plate.
magmic rune smiting going on.
Yeah.
Not in the game, just on the table, which is why you see the cameras shaking. I feel the earth move under my feet.
Nick can win, but really depends on if he gets double turned or if this was a Zinchian trap.
Okay, so first of all, the Daughters of Khaine were in Slanesh's belly, so they were hoping to get pleasure out of this, not necessarily.
I actually think this is. I think this is absolutely going the Daughter of Khaine way, in my opinion. So we'll see what's going to happen with Nick.
I think Nick would have to make a significant tactical move that none of us can see coming, and Jake would have to really open the door with bad play in some way.
Yeah, but also the Fyreslayers are pretty much the new kids on the block. A lot of people haven't played them before.
Have a bunch of hits.
They've
Chinese food makes me sick, by the way.
They've made some big tunes, and they haven't necessarily.
We've got 6 saves on those witches on their after damage save.
There you go. So some witches.
So we're seeing
dead.
a couple dead witches.
But the big combat really is going to be that unit.
And they don't have shields, so they're not going to be doing damage back.
That unit also didn't pile in.
Correct.
Which I find quite interesting.
Are the Volkite Berserkers the ones that get to fight when they are killed?
No, I don't think so. Not those ones anyway. I'll double check.
I'm not overly sure, but he didn't pull the models until just now, so I believe those are the ones that get to fight when killed. Volkite Berserkers.
After unit.
Great question in the chat. Saying, I don't know why Fyreslayers didn't use a CP to run the screen over heroes claiming the objective. They actually did. They're 12 inches away from the objective at the start of the game.
It's their Berserk. You activate it, so it's a Berserk Fury. Once the battle at the start of the combat phase, you can choose to unleash this unit's Berserk Fury. So
if killed, then they get to pile in and fight before activating.
That's the Volkite Berserkers who are in the bottom.
So interestingly, he's taken off the models that are on the side of those witches, so he won't be able to threaten those witches very much. It's like he knows that there's going to be an attack coming in here, because if he had removed 2, 3, 4, And the Vostar command ability is getting used right now on the Fyreslayer side. I'm not sure from which unit. I think it's from the unit up on top. The Hearthguard Berserkers are going to be the ones that are targeted for that, with those snow bases up on top.
So both heroes piled into Morathi. Interestingly, deciding not to leave one free and allowing Morathi to attack both over the next 2 turns.
Yeah, I'm not sure if I think that was a good choice, but if it was engaged, she might be able to reach with her spear anyway.
Anyway, that's a good point.
Also, she's taken 3 damage, so at this point, there's no point in even rolling attacks at her.
Yeah.
She's taken her 3 damage.
I was just like, bro, don't even roll. I'm just going to put 3 wounds on. We're good.
What's the command ability from Vostard? Because that's what was just activated there. You've got it on your screen.
It's +1 to hit.
Gotcha.
It's +1 to hit for the hero and the Volkite Berserkers and Hearthguard Berserkers wholly within 12 inches.
Terrific. So it's giving everyone +1 to hit, which is largely unimpactful because she's going to take the 3 damage and be done.
Yeah, but Nick's got a bunch of command points which really aren't going to do much in this game, realistically.
No. It will let him pile in and fight twice, but up here that's useless, and it will only be impactful if he can get across, which with screens and with being held up by Morathi, it's going to be a real uphill battle.
Yeah, I think that's not going to go the way. I don't think he should have piled in the Fyreslayer. I'd have at least run it away this turn. We'll see.
I agree with you.
Spear does a bunch of damage.
Live and fight another day.
Yeah, it always just doesn't need to.
Be useful.
Yeah, it's also like you've only got a certain amount of scoring characters, and even one less now for Jake.
Right. So if one of them just moves back to here, it forces. Jake to commit resources forward, because Morathi won't be able to get more than 3 inches away from the objective.
Yeah, it just gives you an option, which I think is important. I'm pretty certain we're going to see this character in red here. Can we get the other panel, please, Colin? That would be cool.
That's the dead Rune Master, and that should be meaning that Morathi is going to be.
Colin, can we switch it over?
Scoring her objective.
Thank you. So yeah, we're going to see one of those. Oh no!
So Morathi
not dead.
Not dead.
Very interesting.
I see 4 wounds, but doesn't look like he's dead yet.
Very interesting. Do you know what's really nice about this old school army build is Morathi, Daughters of Khaine, old school.
Right.
Not going to be able to.
Just punt our cameras, why don't you?
Yeah, that's fun. That's real fun.
I'm just being salty.
There's the objective right underneath him, lit up, and he's only got 1 wound left. So he lived by 1 wound by his mighty beard, his grundling chops. He is held on there.
If Morathi is unable to kill him, that would be a big problem. But I'm unclear, or I'm unsure if she's finished all of her attacks, or if Jake has split his attacks, or what the plan has been to this point.
It's okay. We'll find out from our table boss.
Exactly right. I'm curious to see if the Fyreslayers player removes those Hearthguard Berserkers from that combat.
It doesn't matter if they engage or not.
Well, they'd be fleeing, which means they wouldn't get to charge and exert power again.
They're going to be immune to battle shot.
So what I'm curious about is, did Morathi finish her attacks on that? So she was unable. It sounds like she was unable to kill that hero.
Yeah. So
which is pretty. It's pretty impactful.
It's very big.
It's very big. It really
she had Mind Razor off as well.
Priority is going to be a really big deal here. I wonder. Wow, only 4 damage.
Yeah, I agree with the guys in the chat. If he hasn't used all of his attacks to kill that hero, I definitely think that's an application of power gone wrong.
Agreed.
We can find out. Did Morathi put every attack into that hero? And if he did,
oh no, she did not. She split her attacks.
Never
the
ever.
The spear in the tail went into the other.
Not
hero.
when it's this important. Like the Hearthguard Berserker block.
That was definitely a misplay on Jake's part.
The Hearthguard Berserker unit is it's gonna have late in the game. It might do a bunch of stuff, but realistically, right now,
she split her attacks into the 2 different characters, and she failed to kill either one of them.
Oh no. He knows that's a mistake. Having gone through it now, at the end of it, he's going to say that I shouldn't have done that.
Yeah,
that's sad.
Well, and he didn't even need to score the points, because to score the points, he needed to kill the hero that was holding it.
Yes.
If a hero kills another hero holding it, they claim it. and then Marathi sits there and claims points for 2 or 3 turns.
Okay, so now you're going to see the unit of Sisters of Slaughter pile in.
Using their 6-inch pile-in.
And so that you can pretty much guarantee that unit's going to die, which is going to be really interesting when it comes to priority.
It really depends on the DPR saves, I think.
What no,
on,
I reckon
how well the Fyreslayer rolls his DPRs.
Oh yes,
because there is still a character there, so he is going to still be kicking out that 4-up.
I still think they're going to die. Realistically,
it's just weight of dice.
Yeah, it's just huge volume of dice.
It's interesting that Jake is choosing to put his attacks, I assume, on the unit of Berserkers as opposed to going at the character. It looks like he's trying to pile in as much as he can towards the character, but I don't think he'll be able to kill it. He won't have enough. Although the Sisters have a 2-inch reach.
Yes.
So potentially he could have 4 or 5 of them hitting. It doesn't look like he's going to be able to reach the hero, though. Looks like he's just going to be out.
Yeah. I absolutely agree. I think he's not going to be able to engage the way he wanted to. I don't think he was ever going to be able to get that hero realistically, which is fine because he doesn't need to right now. It's only turn 1, which is what's important about the counter-attack coming through, I would say, from during the priority roll, and why I'd have previously set up in the I'd have set up to counter-attack and not to fight in. If we can just get the top down again, please, as we look at the battlefield. Thank you very much. So here's a bunch of Sister of Slaughter attacks going to go into that block of Volkite Berserkers, and those Volkite Berserkers I'm almost certain are going to die, which is going to be Mostin Power says Nick has 5 heroes. If Jake doesn't kill a few of them early, Marathi is locked in on an objective. I personally think this is actually going to be Jake's game to lose at the minute. I think even if the priority roll doesn't go his way, I still think he's in a super strong position. He might decide to flee this unit. This could have been a two character bait. If it is, it's a big play. Comes in, hits here, then Marathi's got a choice to make in their turn. He could even flee the 2 characters off the objective, move back a tiny bit, although he will then lose the objective. So then Marathi's got an option. Does Marathi chase the block that is basically unkillable, and then go fight them, or does Marathi stay there and hold that objective? Either way, that Marathi's the only thing that's really going to stop this unit from thundering through. Now, the Cauldron and the Witch Elves here are super, super tanky, but my money is actually on the Hearthguard block during that combat. However, there'll be no characters to put there. So the smart play is just fighting it out at the top. I don't know, man. It's really interesting. Marathi really changes the shape of the game. So we just find out that 4 more Hearthguard Berserkers have died. Volkite Berserkers, thank you. The Volkite Berserkers have down here at the bottom. So that's pretty big. Okay, and now they're just swinging back as they die, which is so that those Sisters of Slaughter are not really going to care. They've already got Witch Brew on them, so they're safe as houses. He didn't do anything with the strike backs, which is absolutely what we expected realistically.
Right, that was sort of par for the course. We expected that outcome.
Okay, we've seen 4 models die here in that bottom left-hand objective.
But not the hero, which means that the priority is going to be very impactful on who can score it.
Which is going to be a big deal. It's going to be a really big deal. But I actually think, I was saying that potentially this block could run and just go forward and threaten. Then these 2 heroes could fall off and sit. Then Marathi's got the choice to fight those 2 heroes, which is the right choice,
right,
or chase the block, which is the wrong choice.
Right.
As it is.
But every time the Hearthguard retreat, it's a turn they're not fighting.
Yeah, I agree with you, absolutely. But then this unit is going to hit them back. That's the thing with there being no shooting. The only way that they're going to be able to engage with each other is to charge, and the Hearthguard block and the Witch Elves both want to fight.
Right.
So just one of them gets to swing first, which is why I think actually having sat off and charging first is the better play.
Right.
We'll see.
Just a quick update. The attacks that went on those sisters, the sisters have the bucklers, and there were 2 mortal wounds that went back onto the unit.
Yes, absolutely.
Now, here's a question. How do you think that the Fyreslayers player can use this judgment to possibly impact the game in zone-off space going forward?
I don't think so.
Oh, it's not a judgment. Just kidding. That's called a
runic prayer.
Runic invocation? Incantation?
I think it's just a runic prayer.
No, they don't use the word prayer when they mean prayer. Everything has a different name.
That would be too.
Magmic incantation, maybe?
Potentially. But
I can look up the words on the thesaurus.
It's a runic thing.
It's a thingish thing from dwarves down under.
Mm-hmm.
So daughters scoring 2. I'm a little confused. How did daughters score Marathi?
So daughters have scored 1 here.
Daughters have scored 1 in the middle, and we're seeing 2 points. So it looks like Marathi must have scored that objective. I wonder if there was another hero that had been holding it that she definitely did kill, and she failed to kill another hero that was over there.
No, because
there were 5 heroes in the list.
We would have seen them. Let's not second guess. Let's just let the information come to us.
All right.
There were 2 there.
So the battlesmith was just behind the unit that was holding it. That's the one that was holding it, and she killed it? Understood. So Marathi did claim the objective, and so it is going to be 2 points for daughters, which actually makes this a lot more in favor of daughters than we were projecting or understanding originally.
Yeah, so just ignore everything we said for the past 40 minutes.
Right.
And then we'll just start again.
Yep. Want to reset? Have him re-rack? Redeploy? Maybe he'll put a model on the table this time that he meant to put on the table.
Anyway, so Marathi, so it's game over. Cool.
Right. It's gonna be a real uphill battle at this point for the Fyreslayers player to make this comeback.
Yes, Mr. Kapowski, it is over. That is the game. He has won. He can lose every priority roll, and he has still won the game. The only way that Jake can now lose is if he takes his army and runs off the board, which he's not going to do.
Never put it past him. He's already chosen to run 1 model off the board.
I mean, sorry, guys at home that we didn't actually have that information. So that's actually not pretty big, very, very big. So yeah, that's. I mean, me and Jacob now are just going to hang out and talk smack about these 2 armies for about an hour.
Do you want to try to do a little rap about them? No, I guess I've been told I'm no longer allowed to rap. I'm not allowed to rap anymore.
Apologies, everyone. Also, why would you put your stuff on the objectives to be charged? Let me talk.
Or why would you pile those in to Marathi?
Yeah, there's all these. Let me talk about how you play Warhammer. Let's do that.
Let's do it.
So let's start this game again. You have your Fyreslayers.
I have my daughters down here.
Yes. Right. We both want to go to the objectives in the center.
Where the gold is, as I'm told.
Exactly. So I know you want to do that, and you know I want to do that, but I'm green, and I get to choose. So
Agreed.
I say, move there, because we're 24 inches apart. You can charge me. Yeah? Yeah, some of your units are pretty fast, but I don't mind that.
No.
Yeah? Because my characters are safe.
Right.
Then,
with the way it was deployed, we would have a big block of sisters here, a big block of sisters here, maybe even able to surround and have holding objective, but probably at risk, and then Marathi right here.
But then you get to run this offensive Hearthguard block, as well as the other units which haven't even swung down here because they were just stood there I don't know. What's your plan? I'm just going to stand here and just get murdered.
Right.
This is a scheme. And then, anyway, so then you can engage with everyone else, and you can start to control the shape of the battle. You've also got the priority roll coming up after that as well, so you can potentially win the priority and do that. That would be your way forward, and that's the right decision at the start. So what's huge about this, the decision to go first is what costs the game.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. It looks like we're seeing Jake creating some screens and some walls to protect his models, and he'll be able to probably claim this objective in a turn or 2 as well.
Yes.
And the question is, obviously the conversation would be, how quickly can Nick shift Jake off of this objective? But the answer is 3 turns minimum. So he's going to have to fight for the center objective. At that point, he'll be still fighting from behind. You only need to score 2 of the objectives. more than your opponent to win this game.
Yeah.
Everyone thinks it's 3. It's actually about 2.
And the priority roll has also gone to Jake.
Exactly.
Yeah. So priority rolls happened into turn 2. Jake has got the priority roll. And Budtastic Guy says, I'm curious the percentage of bad decisions are made because of the stress of being on stream. I mean, we don't... So the stress is pretty low. Like, and actually, you got more space on the stream table than you have on any other table in the room. Like, it's pretty easy. You just stand there and play your game of Warhammer, and then there's a dude next to you with a microphone. That's it.
But you also know there's 90 people or 110 people watching. You know someone's going to be watching you do it. It's sort of an observation causing a change in the environment sort of question. I think that it's probably a decreased actual impact on it. I'm sure there's some. It can't be none. By observing it, we're changing it. It's quantum physics. Everyone knows that. But I doubt that we're impacting the game very much, and the players thinking terribly much.
Yeah, absolutely.
Also, I know for a player like Jake, he plays a lot of Warhammer. He plays high-stress games. He's always on top tables. So I think it would take a lot more than just having cameras on him to change where he plays.
Yeah, I would agree.
Nick could be a little bit different for the Fyreslayers player. I don't know how many times he's been on stream or played on top tables, or how many times he's even played against Daughters. That could also be a question, is which one of them has more experience in the matchup.
Yeah, I mean, Daughters are pretty synonymous, right? They've been playing all over. But end of the day, whatever cause, it could just be playing against Daughters. It could be playing on, like, top table on game 4. That's
right.
nerve-wracking too. You know, a bit of stress. You've got that kind of, like, it's so relaxing when you lose your first game. Going into a tour, you're like, oh,
it makes the whole weekend better.
And now I'm just playing games. I don't care how I do. Like, and then you tend to like, and that's true. That's true for the psychology in most sports. In most sports, like, the more relaxed you are, the better you tend to do generally. So that's why they try and do that. This is just going nowhere.
No,
right
nothing's
now.
gonna happen there. Marathi's splitting up her attacks, try to get rid of more heroes that could possibly score it once she's gone.
This is a dead hero right here, and another dead block right there.
So that's another dead hero up at the top of
From shooting?
From Marathi in combat.
Oh, in combat. So into combat already. Okay, good.
Because these are Sisters Slaughter, they don't have to charge. They'll just
I
pile
didn't know if we'd done a shooting.
Shooting happened. It was largely unimpactful. Like you said, there's relatively little impactful shooting in either of these lists, and Marathi mitts with her shooting anyway.
It came from the deep. Camera has a huge effect. I know, no, you don't know this. I don't know. Maybe I live a different world because I stream
right.
several
You're just
times
so
a
used
week.
to being the center of attention.
Yeah. So absolutely. Maybe there's a conversation to be had there, and also a good one as well.
And
Thank you.
Marathi's done swinging. She's put some wounds on.
Because what we can do is ask ourselves at the Honest Wargamer a bunch of questions, because we want to keep doing live coverage as often and as well as possible.
Absolutely.
We're going to ask how we can best do this coverage in the future, and find a way to make it so people aren't too affected.
I love this. The stream is not stressful, says M Taylor 9. It ensures correct play from both players, which is nice, except when it doesn't. It encourages good play, but it doesn't
JJ,
necessarily
by the way,
ensure
who was at his maybe his third ever tournament, played on the stream when we covered Sheffield Slaughter. And he was cool, but he's a very cool cucumber anyway. Gorgeous, articulate, and funny. So I don't think there's anything that stressed that young man out.
Are you trying to make me jealous? Because I'll tell you what.
Are you trying to talk into the side of the microphone?
It's working. No, my lips are touching the front of the microphone.
Okay, it's an angle thing.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. Yeah, you're right.
I love to angle things with my mouth.
Reflex social, I don't know if the cameras were really affecting them. It wouldn't be in the same without, because they're in a tournament.
Marathi's taken her next 3, so she's done for the turn.
She's done for the turn. She's only killed the one character though, so there's still one left, but she still held that. So
right.
she, at the end of this turn,
and she can't lose
the priority roll for the next turn is quite important, because Marathi in the next, so in Nick's next turn, Marathi has to kill this character here, and the reason that has to happen is also apologies to Jake for earlier. It was a good decision to split your attacks, because you clearly
absolutely.
killed one of those.
Killed the
characters.
hero that was there, but because all Fyreslayers looked the same, we didn't know which one it was.
Exactly. So going into the next priority roll, if Nick does end up getting the priority roll and this character is alive, it means that there's going to be that Marathi will take her final 3 wounds in combat.
Right.
Then that character will be sat there pretty much unopposed for the rest of the game.
So the play here for Nick is he has to retreat that hero.
Yes.
and just land outside of 3 here, and then use the pile-in from the Hearthguard to create a protective barrier.
Absolutely. If that character stays in combat, that's a mistake.
At this point, he needs to play perfectly and count on Jake making
Also,
a mistake.
piling it in was a mistake.
100%.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like you said, he might have been within 3 anyway, so he
Right.
might have had to. So apologies,
Well, no,
Nick,
you don't.
if that's the case.
He didn't have to. Well, he took first turn. Yeah, if he was within 3, he could still not move in, not come closer.
Yeah, that's
And
true.
then his
And
pile
then he
in
could have
with the
piled in
Hearthguard
around with his
Berserker
Hearthguard.
stop her from moving.
Agreed. Although it's going to be interesting to see what he does in his turn. If Nick decides to keep that character in, there we go. So you've seen the Sisters of Slaughter pile in at the bottom here. They've got the character, so they are surrounding that character. He is stood in cover, so it is a tanky-ass naked dwarf hero.
He is probably on like a -4 up.
Yeah, he's going to be trying to dodge blades and knives, and -4 up. That's a good save.
It's a real good save.
Yeah, it's a real good
but
save.
ones always fail.
I can't wait for the new Free Cities book, because Dispossessed best get some tanky-ass rules, because they are head-to-toe covered in armor, and if they are not as tanky as a naked dwarf...
Imagine how they would be with slabs of metal on them. Just imagine.
Just imagine.
Would you look at that? Jake is rolling for his Sisters of Slaughter. I assume he's going to be... His main priority is to kill the character that's holding that objective, because as soon as he controls all 3 objectives, it's game over. There won't be enough time for Nick to make that comeback. Also, there won't be enough heroes for Nick to claim enough objectives. Even if he stops Jake from scoring, Nick won't have enough heroes to then score back.
Listen, Nick, love you.
Listen,
love you.
Look.
Love you, Nick.
Listen, Linda.
But I hope you watch this back and you go, cool. I could have done some other things. Sometimes though, those answers aren't apparent. We've got a 40-foot drop. We don't have to roll any dice.
Nope.
Yeah, we're just
sitting here sipping on soda and grind.
And we talk about this a lot actually when it comes to playing Age of Sigmar. Jacob, I don't know if it's the same for you. But you spend so much time doing the mechanical elements of it, right? Moving the models, rolling the dice,
picking up the dice, re-rolling the dice, picking out those dice,
watching your opponent re-roll his dice, articulating the information,
counting
to your
the
opponent,
dice.
that actually your thinking time is quite low. And I talk about this in the workbook a lot. So your economy of thinking is quite important.
And it looks like, just as an update, we've got the Fyreslayers player spending a command point, which I assume is to get that unit of Volkite Berserkers to be able to fight a second time.
Yes, at the top.
Why would they fight at the top? She's already taken her 3 wounds.
Which unit?
The bottom, down
The
here,
bottom
fighting
unit.
against the
Thank
Sisters
you
of
very
Slaughter.
much. Right here, fighting in, punching, absolutely. There you go. I still don't think the Sisters of Slaughter are going to mind that much. Characters died here, I assume?
It's unclear if that character has been killed by Sisters of Slaughter. We'll find out in a minute. So the character has been killed. The question now is if the hag is in range of that objective to claim it by the end of the turn.
Reflex Dog Training, thank you so much for the 145 bits.
Thank you.
This
2
is
plus
a
2 plus 2 Ren stream.
-2 stream. Mortally wounds anyone watching, I agree. Interesting though, Jacob, do you tend to find, do you know games where you've just thrown away the game on the first turn? I certainly have.
Oh, plenty. I would say most games I play.
It's why I'm a huge proponent of practicing your deployment. And the reason I talk about it so much is because what you're doing in your deployment is deciding what you're going to do in the game.
Right.
Now, Age of Sigmar is so beautiful because of the priority roll and the reactive nature of how we play. However, that doesn't mean that you shouldn't approach it with a plan. You should be identifying, before you even put your models down, the threats that your opponent has and what are elements in your army you're going to use to deal with it.
And when you deploy, you either give yourself the opportunity to use all the tools you've brought to bear in your list build, or you make it harder for yourself. For example, yesterday we saw the Gitz player use his own Loon trying to block himself. We thought it was a good tactic at first, and then suddenly we realized he's actually made it harder for himself to get where he needs to exert that power.
Exactly.
So practicing those things and getting, as you say, off book and maybe making a chart or a diagram to help you understand what your deployment's going to look like in each of the different deployment setups, so you're not thinking about it for the first time when you hit the tabletop is vastly important.
I know. Big shout out to OJ if he's in the chat. I don't think he is. Owen Jackson. My man with his Sylvaneth army.
Juice is loose.
He didn't just have maps. he had like topographical overlays. Like, this was serious. It felt like National Geographic had done deployment maps for his Sylvaneth army. He not only had he done it in every scenario, he'd done it in every scenario against popular builds he was going to face. And he'd drawn it out, and he'd written it out, and planned it out. And at that level, like, now, I'm not saying you all have to be that serious at home about it.
Right.
But there are people who are taking it to that
If you want to be a good player, doing something like that would not ever hurt you. It wouldn't make you worse.
No, it does not.
There's a common refrain: I don't want to have to do homework to go have fun. And that makes sense, but if you're not playing practice games and you're not thinking about how you're going to approach these different problems, you're setting yourself up at a disadvantage if you want to play at a competitive level.
A tournament is definitely meant to be fun. It's meant to be engaging, but it's also a competition.
Right.
Like, and who doesn't practice before a competition? Like,
people who don't want to win competitions.
Exactly.
People whose goal in competitions is to get drunk and fall asleep under a table.
Like, I'm not going to go and enter the 100-meter race competition tomorrow at all. I will be slow. Basically, not practicing will make you Eric the Eel from the Olympics like 10 years ago. Yeah, and if you don't know what that is, please YouTube Eric the Eel. Anyway, back to the game.
So, there's questions coming in about how that command ability was used, if there was a hero in range or not. I'm not sure the timing on the attacks and when the command ability would have to have been activated. So that's a good clarifying question to get.
Yeah, what? It's not command ability, it's just the ability of the
right.
Of
So
the battalion.
So he was able to use his ability before dying, and then the aura was still out after dying.
Yes. There you go. Sweet.
Oh, okay. They decided the aura wasn't up, so they weren't getting the bonus, I guess, to their armor save.
Yeah, and also, Most in Power, that's a really good point. You often at tournaments are playing against people whose idea of competition, idea of fun is competition. So they've practiced to do the thing that they enjoy,
right,
which is compete.
Which I understand that's a mindset people have. I tend to be of the opinion that how I define fun is having fun. So maybe it's not always the competition aspect that makes it fun, but I can appreciate different people have different priorities or different ideas of what the fun looks like.
Exactly. Which is what's cool.
Hot takes here on the Honest Wargamer. Fun is fun.
Fun is fun. And I'm John Madden.
That's football. We've got 6 dead Sisters of Slaughter. And the sisters or the daughters have claimed that objective.
Can I just say something very quickly?
No.
Both this unit of
well, why do you ask me if you can say it or not?
This unit of Hawkeye Berserkers and this unit of Sister Slaughter. I know we're like 4 of those have died, 4 of the others have died, but against any other unit in the game, it would be
they would be destroying
a fucking
everything.
ton of dead.
Right.
Because both the output and the defense of these blocks are crazy.
Right, and we're looking at a score of.
We'll go to the top down, please, Colin.
6-2. I think it 6-2 or 7-2 because they scored 2 points for each of the 2 objectives they held. Oh,
so
yeah,
that'd be 6 added on to that.
Plus
they haven't
2
held the bottom.
Plus 2 claimed this plus 1.
No,
did they not
they
claim
haven't
this one?
claimed the bottom. No,
Got
so
it.
It's just a plus
so
4.
It's just understood. Now, if I'm Nick, I make sure this unit
okay,
just
let's get into it.
Fucks all the way off. And if I'm Jake, I let him fuck off and win the game on math, and I bring down my Harpies back here, so they never see combat, and they both guarantee the 9 points of achieving their skullduggery, their subterfuge and swindle, the stratagem, their sleight. I can keep reading synonyms.
Yeah, I think... So this unit staying alive, as Jacob's drawn on the screen, is going to get him points for the secondaries, and the secondaries are worth a lot at this tournament.
Secondaries are worth 40% of your score.
Yeah. So while we are talking about the main stay of the game, and Nick might just be like, Nick might have just gone, do you know what? I don't think I'm going to win this game at all.
Right.
And I'm going to go for my 40% up here in the left, which we don't know inside his mind. We're just calling the plays as we see it. So that's a really solid choice if that's his decision.
Yeah. And so from what I understand, this may be Nick's first time playing against daughters, so it definitely was a learning experience for him on the matchup. And it was an uphill battle from the beginning based on the way the lists were designed. So I think hopefully this was a good learning experience for him. Also, hopefully I'm not going to call the chat negative, but all of the, we'll call it the controversy around getting to deploy or not getting to deploy the hag, right? I hope that hasn't made the game unfun for the players, even though there may be some people getting in their feels in the chat about it.
Yeah. I mean, I'm looking over. They both look happy. They are wearing. Yeah, they are both wearing what is, at this stage, almost mandatory wargaming outfit, which is tan camo shorts. Not camo shorts, just tan combat cargo shorts.
Right.
Yeah, it's like very important.
That's the way to be.
Yeah.
That's peak dad right there.
Yeah.
Except this kid is 17 years old, and that one's, I think, 19. So it looks like we've got some prayers going off and some runes going off up top on this big unit of the Hearthguard Berserkers. They're getting reroll to wound, and they're now at -2 rend on their axes.
Wow, so they are really going to be able to put those 3 wounds on Marathi.
They'll definitely get those 3 wounds. They'll get them good. Such 3. Wow.
No, I know, like, if you guys have played against Marathi, she's super frustrating to play against. But for me,
she forces you to think very differently.
I love her rules design. What she does in the game is super frustrating, but also it's like such a mechanical piece. Like, it's the 5+ after damage save and the 1 billion attacks from and reroll to hit, reroll to wound on the bloody witch elves that is the obnoxious part of the army. Like, the Marathi element is just good rules writing. Like, it gives me a unique key piece that I have to deal with when I play against daughters. And honestly,
it fundamentally changes the rules of the game.
Yeah, absolutely. But it's real interesting. And I love watching Daughters Khaine on the tabletop. Not so much this part. I
but definitely this part.
But the Marathi part is fantastic.
Oh, thanks, Soul Binding. When you deny opponent a model, still lose the game by a landslide. I mean, he's not wrong.
Yeah. He's not. So what can Nick do? What can Nick do? So, now I'm not sure this is correct, but I think if Nick drives his car at 88 miles per hour, then he will be able to go back in time, hopefully not sleep with his own mother, but be the king of the rock and roll dance party at his high school. And at the same time, tell young Nick's father,
take the second turn.
Give the first turn away. Yes.
There were 24 wounds going through to Marathi from the lobbed axes, and only 1 was unsaved.
Right. Can I just say that I've seen Fyreslayers armies, this particular build as well, go 5-0, specifically at a team tournament when we did Six Nations coverage. Big shout out to Richie. But I've also seen other people play it. I've also played against it. My good friend Colin Cochrane, who's an angel of a man.
Can you say that on the air?
Colin Cochrane.
Cochrane.
Colin Cochrane. Also,
Cochrane.
Colin Cochrane has. I played him twice, round 3 of a tournament, and I've never, not once, ever made it to the Sunday. He has, every time I've played him, made me have to go home or to a hospital.
Wow. So he's your kryptonite.
He is. He is.
Wow.
Also a really nice man.
Oh, wonderful.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. I think the lobbed axes were here against the Sisters of Slaughter, not against Marathi. Oh, no, Marathi did take the lobbed axes. We've got the next set of attacks coming in on the Sisters of Slaughter.
Okay, so straight into the combat phase for Fyreslayers. So we haven't seen any movement. They haven't elected. Can we just go to that top right-hand corner for a second? Because I really want to see, or just the overlay. The overhead. Apologies, Colin. You're doing a great job.
Killing it, Colin.
Absolutely. What's this, Jacob? What's that right there?
That looks like an objective to me, if I was to guess.
But what's also next to that objective?
A hero is next to the objective.
It's a hero. That hero did not flee from combat.
Did not.
What are your thoughts on that? I have thoughts that are strong.
My thoughts are that hero is needed to score objectives, and leaving it in harm's way is presumably a mistake. However, the game is, I would say, more than a foregone conclusion at this point. It's pretty much a 5-gone conclusion.
Yeah, it's all the way gone. But at the same time, I would just
You still want to play.
Yeah, I really do. I'd be interested to find out...
and there's 5 dead Sisters of Slaughter, by the way, over on the left-hand side.
I'd be interested to find out what's happening in the other games on that we're seeing. So, because potentially we're going to see a Shooting Stormcast list versus a Flesh Eater Corpse list. As we know, Jake is definitely going to go through to his next...
Absolutely. So he'll be on table 1 for the final round.
And he could well be against his teammate, Sean, who's a lovely man, with his Flesh Eater Corpse, which is going to be an interesting match.
Absolutely.
Or he could be against Stormcast. We'll wait and see how that game resolves. He might also be against Slanesh.
Correct. Either Vince or Price, depending on how the scores shake out.
Yes. So those are the options for our final game. I think
it looks like right now on the Stormcast versus Flesh Eaters. Flesh Eaters are winning 2 points to 1, so that means they're probably only in the second turn right now.
Yeah, so we'll find out the results later. Thank you very much.
Yeah, we'll get some infield reporting going on from probably the most handsome man in the Honest Wargamer
Mr. Jacob
crew.
Berry?
I mean, if you'd like me to be the most handsome man you can find.
That's fine. That's fine. I will take...
If I'm the best you can do, I'll take it.
Everyone in the chat...
Well, would you look at that?
Would you look at that?
Look
Everyone
at
in the
that.
chat, can you tell me how you're doing?
Look at
Can
it.
you just tell me, how English am I?
You are the tip top of Big Ben's cock.
That's very
Sir.
English.
You made me ever so happy.
It's awesome you guys relay those reports. Very
Yeah,
pleased.
good question from Teacher Rex. If you're not playing to win, can you play to keep it a minor? Now, minors only happen in Age of Sigmar when you have a tie on the objective points. I personally think that minor victories should be achieved based on the difference in scores, but this still is at this point looking like it would be a major victory for Daughters of Khaine by almost any metric for major wins.
The other point, the other thing to point out is that there are two scenarios where you have to. No, sorry, there are 3 scenarios where you have to actually do something to achieve the major victory.
Right.
But almost predominantly, is, as Jacob said, it's whoever has the cumulative score. So the score you can see on the left hand side in white is the overall
winner.
is the winner,
Right.
the major winner.
The only scenarios where you see minor wins more often is the ones where you have to control 2 or 4 objectives to then just end the game.
Knife to the heart, take and hold, and blood and glory.
Correct.
Are the 3 objectives.
And what's exciting about that, those are often really good
Splitters.
those are really good differentiators among scores, and often you see them as round 5, and we do have for game 5 knife to the heart is going to be the scenario played.
Yes, knife to the heart. Can I just say also, a lot of people are not huge fans of scenarios like knife to the heart.
Because the game can just end?
No, not because that at all. Not because it's very blunt force trauma.
Yeah, it's smash it forward.
Yeah, go to point A, go to point B, but that's not actually true.
Marathi's taking 15 after damage saves. Marathi's taking 15 after damage saves.
What I really respect about Jake is he's still rolling them out. He's like, maybe I won't take 3 damage. Maybe I won't.
She has 3 remaining wounds.
Okay, so
who could have predicted Marathi only took 3 of those 15?
Did Marathi kill the character that was next to her? That's the really important question.
She did kill that character.
Of course she did, because that's the...
oh my God. Exactly what she does.
Oh, dear God. Oh, Christ alive.
So the question now is, how many heroes are even left on the Fyreslayers side?
How many... characters are left on the Fyreslayers side.
Actually, mathematically, I've just found out there are 0 heroes left on the Fyreslayers side. So really anything from here on... Oh, there's one. I'm sorry, there's 1 left.
Okay.
Next to the pizza oven in the back. So there is 1 left.
Where's the pizza oven? Come forward, pizza oven.
Can we go back to the overhead?
The cameras are ace, really clear, and those close-ups are great.
So pizza oven is here. I believe it's either going to be behind it or it's going to be that single model. Yep, that single model that we marked with a green dot is the last hero on the Fyreslayers side.
Yeah, Tatfishy, I just want to say, actually, the community actually crowdfunded the cameras for us for the Honest Wargamer coverage. So I want to say a big thank you again, as always, to the community for doing so. Big shout out to Nacor.
So it turns out the real cameras were the friends we made along the way.
Yeah, absolutely. So you guys are awesome. So thank you so much. See Jake in the next round then. Absolutely. But how interesting.
So here's a question.
Yeah.
If Jake forgets to bring down his heart renders, or the life takers, he will not score the objective. So it does, in playing all this out, he's making decisions and making himself more likely to forget instead of bringing down the unit and calling it a game. So if he forgets that, that's going to be a 9-point swing, which could end up costing him a lot. And you definitely cannot say that, Scrivo. Do not impact this game. I'll just shout it.
Yeah, we just shout really loud.
Yeah. But if he forgot to, maybe his opponent will let him play some takesy backsies and put it back on the table.
Well, that's going to be about round 3, right?
Yeah, that would be when Jake gets a turn again.
Yeah. I think. Anyway, well, this has been nice, Jacob.
It's been a lot of fun.
Nice early start to the morning. We were
absolutely.
pretty hyped last night when we found out it was Fyreslayers versus Daughters of Khaine. We were like, that'd be a good matchup.
Absolutely. I still think this was a very fun match to watch. It's a little bit different than what we expected to see. Do we want to cut to an interview that we have pre-recorded, and then we can get some infield reporting?
We might be able to get our lovely man Colin to set up one of our pre-recorded interviews, so you guys can see, and then we might be able to bring you some goss from the other tables. But it's quite early into the round. It says only about an hour and a half in, which I know that sounds like a long time, but it's not really. It's probably you start to get to the crunch time around now, with an hour left on the clock,
right? Which is really where the games start to turn.
But we'll
also, it turns out Daughters of Khaine has won the priority. So really all that's left to do is to bring down the unit of life takers.
Also means it just they score. Marathi scores this turn as well, which just like puts salt in the wound.
Right.
Yeah, because Marathi's going to put another 3 points on. The last turn, there would have been...
Marathi just cast Mind Razor on herself. He's playing this whole thing out. He's dragging out every single second of this.
It's going to be... Hold on. There's going to be no points actually scored
for Fyreslayers.
For Fyreslayers in the last turn, so they're going to end on 2 points.
Feasibly, Marathi dies this turn in the top of... in the Daughters player's turn, and this little hero can fuck all the way off there.
There's one more hero left by the pizza oven.
Yes, I was saying that to you earlier in the cast.
It doesn't matter, does it? He's still too far ahead.
I know. You're right. No, there's no scenario in which Nick can win at this point.
That's interesting.
Because he'd be able to score for 3 turns max, which would be 1, 2, 3 points, which is 6. But he's not going to be able to take this objective off of Jake.
Also, to be a total dick, knowing Marathi is going to die now, I would just run her away. Because I'm like, why am I there?
Well, he's not going to score Marathi this turn.
That's because Marathi's going to die.
Exactly.
But so therefore, I would just run her away.
Right.
Yeah, because she can still cast spells.
Sure.
Yeah, that's annoying. Yeah, you could maybe. I mean, it's turn 3, so probably not. But you might be able to get around here for later. Like, do you need to? No, but you just could. But also, just because why would I let you have the kill? Like, you have to remember resource management in Age of Sigmar is the key element. A lot of people look at command points as a resource management, but it's about the units you have on the board. If you don't have it, like, why would I give... This is a zero-sum game, and if any of you out there are playing games like Nick has done, which you're just giving your opponent zero-sum games, just don't do it.
Right.
Don't give someone something for no reason. Like, I'm in combat, so I will.
Right.
What?
There's nothing there. So all that remains to be seen is if Jake remembers to bring down his life takers, but it looks like he's rolling some dice. We're in the movement phase. Oh, he's making a run, going for a run with his hag, and he's gonna head over. As soon as we see those life takers drop, we can figure out if it's gonna be a full win or just a major victory and forgetting the secondaries for Jake. But he's got his hag all the way over here to score as well. So there's literally no scenario in which Nick can win now.
It's a really interesting...
She did not make it within 3 of the objective, actually, as it turns out. He's a bee's dick away, as they say.
Oh, what, from getting his character onto the objective?
Because he has to be within 3 inches.
Oh, yes.
It's a very short thing.
Okay. But now just unassailable, and even in the next turn, if he doesn't get the priority, an unassailable lead, because that's going to be worth 3 more additional points in this game. Already going to take him to 9.
So even if Nick scores his maximum, which is 6, it's going to be game over.
Yes. Yeah. And that's not including the hag and the cauldron in the middle.
Right, exactly. I wish we could just ask Jake if he's going to remember to bring down his stuff so we can then... Should we cut to the pre-recorded video and then come back to this?
No, we'll go to the interviews and we can let people know. So we're going to go to a pre-recorded interview now, and then we'll get you some information from the other games and see how they're progressing. Then we're going to go for a commercial break, and you guys can join us later for the final game to see if Jake can become the winner of Nashcon 2019.
Or if someone will stop him in his tracks. Oh, hello there. Thanks for joining us. This is Jacob Berry with the Rage of Sigmar Podcast Network. We are streaming live on the Honest Wargamers feed. Welcome back. And I have with me Austin J., which I assume is for Jesus, Fletcher. Welcome, Austin.
You're very close. It's James, but you're very close. Jesus, yes.
That's what I said. Yeah. So, Austin, AJ, Fletch, man, myth, legend. Talk to me as a first-time tournament goer. What did you think about in terms of list construction, what you put together, and how you designed your lists to handle the varied and very competitive Nashville competitive scene?
Well, I mean, in all honesty, like as a Stormcast player, I know from the outset that I'm going to be really good at one thing. I'm not going to be good at everything. So I kind of brought a little bit of balance to the list. A little bit of shooting, a little bit of casting. I want to have some movement on the table if I need it. Want to be able to output some mortal wounds, et cetera, et cetera. So my goal for my list building was to bring as much balance as I could while still maximizing my potential for damage output.
That's terrific. Now, do your two lists complement each other, or are they basically what you have painted with different items in the lists?
So they do complement each other a little bit, but it is most basically what I've got. It's pretty much everything that I own, just what I got painted. So it's pretty good, though. I like it.
So you're saying the items in the list complement each other?
Yes.
Terrific. Now, Stormcast are not necessarily considered the top tier of the competitive scene, but it has some good matchups, and like you identified, it can be the best at one thing, but maybe not all of those things. How would you identify your good matchups and things your lists are really good at compared to some of the other top lists in the scene?
So I do have, obviously compared to maybe a Skaven or a Slaanesh or something like that, with the incredible summoning or the outrageous mortal wound output, I'm never going to be able to match some of those S tier, but some of the ones I think I might be able to compete against, maybe some of the more elite armies with maybe a medium armor, maybe a 3 or 4 up save. I'm bringing some shooting, bringing some mortal wounds with evocators, some shooting with long strikes. So the minus the -2 rend, 2 damage can help a lot in that situation. And so I'm kind of hoping that some of the, combined with Everblaze and whatever else, may be able to slow some people down enough to be able to get a good shot on them and take them out.
Terrific. So you're saying your Alpha Strike is probably your best bet against some of those elite armies where you can identify what's the most important, say the pivotal or the pivot unit that you can then eliminate and have success against.
Yes, absolutely.
Outstanding. Now, as this is your first tournament, I'm sure you have expectations and goals and dreams and aspirations. What would you identify as your biggest goals and hopes for this tournament coming in as a brand new tournament player?
Right. So I started playing AOS because my friends played it, and I enjoyed it, and hanging out with friends and just having a good weekend. Really, honestly, I don't have a whole lot of expectations for this weekend. I know that I'm not going to go, 4-1 or 5-0. So I am fully, if I do better than if I do 2-3 or 1-4, I'm going to be happy. So even if I don't win any games at all, I know I've got a couple of games lined up already that are going to be good matchups and just going to be a bunch of fun. So.
Now, if you were to ballpark how many beverages you were going to imbibe over the course of the weekend, and I'll give you a margin of error of, let's say, 3 beverages. What do you think? Where would you put the Vegas line?
So if I'm given a 3 buffer between the ones that I've already consumed and will consume, or from this point forwards?
From the beginning of time, from the first game to the end of time on the last game.
Okay, fantastic. So between the Bourbon Beatdown, which is game 1 with Ty Tepfer, which is going to be great.
# Bourbon Beatdown.
# Bourbon Beatdown. Between that and my final game, I would expect to consume probably, if it's beer, probably close to a case, maybe 30 or so. But if it's something harder, probably a little less.
Right. So I would say that at 30, if it's a light beer, sounds pretty appropriate. But then again, I'm a really bad judge of character because I have a drinking problem. We are back. It is unmuted, and we are ready to go. I'm going to bring you some updates from the tables 2 through 4. So right now, on table 4, we've got Stormcast versus Slaanesh, which you would assume is really going heavily towards Slaanesh, but currently Stormcast is up 7 points to 0 against Slaanesh. Now, if Slaanesh can grind out his heroes and summon more of his own, I'm sure the depravity points definitely would allow for that and give Slaanesh the win. But as of right now, the Stormcast player is up big time. In our Slaanesh on Slaanesh pleasure off, we've got Vince Venturella against personal friend and dice-swallowing enthusiast Price Vanderberg. It's all tied up here in this Slaanesh off. It's really going to come down to who can establish more control of the board and summon more heroes based on the depravity they've been able to create. Because we know they both have endless hordes of depravity and models. This game could go on until fucking midnight, I'm sure. On our last table, table 2, which may be deciding who gets to play Jake in the championship, we've got Stormcast against Feck. we've got Tyler Emerson against Sean Clark. And currently the score was 2-1 at the end of the first turn. And Tyler has won priority and taken priority to take the top of 2, and the score is going to be 3-2 going into Sean's turn. Sean, though, only has 2 characters left. He's got his Archregent, who's not particularly tanky, and he's very far from the important objectives, and there's a Terrorgeist, a Ghoul King on Terrorgeist, claiming the far side objective. On the center, we've got the Celestant Prime, who's being backed up by a Relictor, so they can definitely establish some control here for Sean, and the Knight of Zeros on the far side, claiming that far objective. Now, there's definitely some strength for the Feck player on this far side, so he may be able to take that as Zeros off, but with a 3-up save and 5 wounds, plus it's a fast hero, he may not be able to take him off quickly enough for Sean to stop Tyler from scoring. We're going to come back to you as these games progress, and I'll be able to give updates as the scores are changing. But as of right now, what we have is a lead for Stormcast, a tie for Slaanesh, and the slightest of leads, the slightest pube hair of a lead for Tyler Emerson with the Stormcast Eternals. We're going to go back to Rob now so that Rob can give us, we're going to go back to Rob. He's going to give us some updates on what's going on the tabletop. On table 1, we'll find out if
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to thehonestwargaming.com. I mean, it's not the website, not yet. Anyway, thank you for being here. Appreciate that. We are going to go back to the table now and show you what happened. Thank you very much for Jacob going through there. Excited. I didn't get to hear, so I'm excited to find out how those games are progressing. Let us know who you're rooting for. As you can see, when we go back to the table, Marathi did die at the top here, finally killing that. And this character is going to try and run around and score. However, because of the points, 9 on the board, there's 1 character left for Fyreslayers, so the most he's going to be able to achieve is 1 this turn, 2 next turn, and 3 finally. It's a total of 6 points in total, taking him up to a grand total of 8, which means that like literally nothing has to happen, and still Jake has won the game. So it is absolutely over. But it's been a very interesting game, and hopefully like a lesson learned for all of us. Realistically, I actually think that Nick has got. It's a really solid army. He's already won 3 games, so I'm sure he's going to take this as a lesson to walk away with, come back with even more vigor and smash face. So I want to say a big thank you for Tim being on the stream. I hope he didn't. I hope he hasn't taken to heart the frustrations of the shot calling. But I just get super hype, right?
Right.
And
exactly.
There's lots you can do in this game, and it's really, really interesting. So and also an argument about list building going back, which is why we do the Monday show as well. We talk about this block of 30 Hearthguard. Maybe it should be a 20. There's lots to say and talk about it, and it's also super matchup dependent. I don't think there are many Daughters of Khaine players here.
No, I think there are maybe only 1 or 2.
And traditionally, in the gaming world, like I said last year, it only got pushed up to about 5% at one point, so not anywhere near as popular as Legions of Cash or Stormcast. So sometimes you just won't run into them. But Jake is doing really well over from Detroit. Excited to see him in the final. There'll be some other games as well. We might
Thanks, Jack Felix, for subscribing.
Appreciate that. We might get a top bracket at some point.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
We're going to be going back to the field here and there to give you guys updates on those top. No, we're not going to do any more of those updates.
No,
just kidding.
Okay.
Okay.
We're just going to we're going to go for our break, and we're going to come back with
it looks like
conclusion.
Jake has brought down his heart or his life takers. He's remembered to bring them down in the corner, so he's going to be scoring his subterfuge.
Perfect. All right, sweet. Well, that's. I'm excited to find out what happens at the beginning of round 5. We'll get you the updates, and we'll tell you who won those couple of matchups that we're interested in, see who the winner is. Out of our options so far, Stormcast versus Flesh Eater Court, Slaanesh, and now Daughters of Khaine. Jacob, is there anyone that you're rooting for?
Obviously, I'm rooting for the Stormcast Eternals just because they're the massive underdog at this point. You always want to root for the team that you don't expect to win. There are 2 Stormcast players. It looks like, actually, I'm seeing the Stormcast and Slaanesh players from Table 4. They're filling out their scorecards right now. It looks like the game has been called. So the question is, did the Stormcast player pull it out?
We're going to be able to find that information out right now from our table boss. He'll bring that over. So we'll be back in a little under 2 hours, I think, when we do go off air.
When we do come back on.
So do join us. I'm excited to find out.
Yep, and it does look like that Stormcast player has pulled out the major victory
Against Lanesh.
against Lanesh. What a champion! That was Matthew Swinney. So with a major victory there, that may be enough to catapult him up to the top table, depending on how this depending on how the Stormcast and Feck match on table 2 ends up. So the math could end up with Stormcast on the top table against those Daughters of Khaine.
Very interesting. Really excited to see that match, actually. It's a bit of a classic.
It is,
stage.
absolutely. Real throwback Thursday over here.
Yeah, real throwback. But you guys have been great. We can come back to us now, I think, if you want to, or we could even go to a break. Not either. Like your choice. Colin, who's done a great job. Thank you.
And we're back.
Here we are.
Welcome back to seeing our hideous faces.
This is us.
Since the game is only an hour away from being finished, you have to stare at us and listen to us talk
For
into
an
your earbuds for a full
an
hour.
unrecorded AMA. Yeah.
Wait, did you guys not record that AMA?
No, we did.
Oh.
We can spend 5 minutes, actually, if anyone in the chat's got any questions for us.
I would love to do a second AMA. I know Slanice was really upset that he missed our first one.
Yeah.
So hopefully if he's in the chat, he can throw in some really inappropriate questions and gifts.
But we'll just take a couple of questions. Specifically, what you guys maybe thought about the game would be interesting to hear. Or just what you're thinking about games in general, or wherever you are in the world.
Any question is open.
And then Fantastic Guy says, and he's a great man, by the way, best thing about tough matchups is the opportunity to learn. And this has been an opportunity for all of us to learn,
Absolutely.
right? I can't say that I would have made better plays on the tabletop. I'm up here
I'm
being
almost certain I wouldn't have.
I'm not heading to Nova Soulbinding. Jacob, are you heading to
No,
Nova?
I will not be making it to Nova. That is in 1 week, and I won't be able to make it.
Yeah, me and Scrivo actually have to return to England before our...
Your heart stops again?
Yeah, but also before they close the borders.
Right. Oh, maybe you should just not. Have you thought about not? Because if they close the borders...
I have thought about not,
okay.
yeah. Scrivo says, question, Rob, how British are you?
Yeah, how British are you, Rob?
I'm so British. I have 8 corgis at home, all called Reginald.
How do you tell them apart?
Reginald 1, Reginald 2, and then Reginald B to A.
H to Z.
Yes.
Reginald H, Reginald Z. Named after your favorite teas, I'm sure.
Yes, all my favorite teas. You've got milky tea.
Titties. Booties. Poutine. All the best teas.
Yeah, I didn't get any poutine when I was in
I
Canada,
think
actually.
Rob Symes is the best teas.
Oh, nice. Okay.
Oh, the overlay blopped my finger.
All right, well, it doesn't seem like any of you got any more
Sounds
questions.
like they don't want to know anything about
which
us.
is fine. I appreciate that. Join us for our next game. I'm very excited. As always, thank you to everyone who's tuned in live. Thank you to everyone on Patreon and Twitch supports Jonas Wargamer. Thank you to you, Mr. Jacob Berry.
You're welcome, Rob.
Thank you to
Make
Colin.
sure you go out and download and subscribe every episode of Rage of Sigmar, which is the host network for The Honest Wargamer.
Yeah, please do. Also, thank you to Scrivo and also to our 2 competitors for playing on the tabletop as well. We appreciate you. We appreciate everyone who hangs out. Question, isn't Rob Australian? No.
No, he is not. He's not a British Texan, mate. I don't think he's ever thrown a shrimp on a Barbie. If I were to guess, you have never thrown a shrimp on a Barbie.
No, Fantastic Guy. No one has provided me with snacks. However, Mr. Jacob Berry has put us up his house for 5 days. Mr. Berry and Mr. Berry, and they've been wonderful hosts.
We've
I
been
just want to
great.
say a big thank you to
We've
you.
been outstanding.
You have been amazing. Thank you very much.
I'd like to thank me as well.
Yeah, we
And
appreciate you a
to
lot.
both of you and me, I say you're welcome.
And currently, Studio Earthwood, love you so much. The best dressed in the room, I will not lie. Listen, Ben, you and me will talk, but if I was to say to you that everyone here shops in M&S, you'll understand what I mean.
Yeah, no, it's all Walmart parking lots basically and thrift stores.
To be honest, it might be Colin, our tech guy.
Oh
yeah, he's pretty svelte. Yeah, he's got like a good look. Like his beard's kempt. Yeah, he's got hats sponsored by disc golf companies. Yeah, I'm also digging Bill, but Bill looks like he does slam poetry on a weekend. He doesn't care whether or not you know it.
He does have an angry volcanic aura. I'll say that right now.
He does.
No, nobody shows up to. Not many people show up to Age of Sigmar tournaments in the U.S. really dressed that nicely. There isn't. No one's showing up in waistcoats for the most part. You sometimes get like the
dressed
odd
in a full
steampunk
canvas outfit.
You have cosplayers and you have some folks that show up in. In some like a steampunk outfit or something like that. But to me, that's worse than just showing up in cargo shorts and a white tee.
There is a lot of like T-shirts though on display with like cool logos and
Yep,
stuff.
a lot of
so
T-shirts. A couple people wearing flags as hats. I'll say it right now. Best dressed man at this Warhammer tournament was yesterday. That man who came on and shouted at me for at least 4 minutes about some Blandy Man Nacho Savage. Yeah, he was the best dressed man. Question: Big spoon or little spoon? I prefer to be big spoon if my partner is shorter than me, and I prefer to be little spoon if my partner is taller than me. But I'll tell you what I really prefer. I like to fork.
Interestingly, I'm only the big or little spoon, depending on who's the strongest at the time. Yeah. So listen, we're gonna go. You guys have been wonderful. Thank you to everyone for tuning in. It's been great.
Bang.
Join us for the final. I can't wait to see who wins Nashcon.
I'm super excited.
I'm super excited. So please join us for that. We'll see you
Hype
guys
levels
soon.
are about to be at overload level.
Have a great day.